So hey guys, this is a more lengthy video I guess of one of my practice sessions. Just trying to concentrate on the low crit low haste stat problem we might be facing in BFA, and some thoughts around move ordering, etc. So I think this is a single target video, and then I'll do 2-target cleave, and then if you know both of those, that handles like 90% of the high skill plays that you'll need to know, and you can start practicing this before BFA launches. So I think I spent about maybe 3 or 4 hours just having a look at this stuff. So my opener here is Berserk Pre-Pull. I think I discussed this before in another video, but if you haven't watched, it's Berserk Pre-Pull, Rake Moonfire, Thrash, Shred to 5 CP, and then after the Savage Roar is the first finisher, basically you want to get Rip Up. Because I'm Night Elf here at 4 combo points or 5 combo points, I use my Blood Talons and I put it on the Rake, Meld Rake, it's already in Pandemic, let's get some extra ticks and then put the Rip Up. And then towards the end of Berserk I want to refresh both Moonfire and Thrash. Couple of things with having low resources. There's basically a clear casting trap. So clear casting you can only use on Shred and Swipe. So sometimes you want to leave your combo points not at 5 so that when you get clear casting you can use it at Shred. Because I have a clear casting tracker down here, and then later on in one of my other videos I actually make it play a sound when I waste clear casting, just to keep an eye on things, because you have to kind of use the resources quite efficiently to max your deeps. Here I go for max uptime though. So here I'm just pulling, I'm waiting for the double damage Rake to fall off. I'm going to refresh Rip early, then go for the Rake. Rip off completely. And here my next finisher, I know my opener is always going to be Savage Roar. I don't Ferocious Bite. If I get too many resources here, I actually just overshred, I think. This is a non-lost opener. And then you can see how I averaged out clear casting to be once every 11 seconds, so that should cover pretty much every Thrash. And then sometimes I just hard cast Thrash to get uptime. So every Tiger's Fury you want to make sure you have enough energy to refresh the Moonfire. Bit of finessing around here. And here I'm just waiting for the Moonfire, because this is quite slow. I think I've done it in a post on my blog. I talk about sub-pandemic min-maxing of dot ticks. So yeah, I'm waiting as late as possible because it's going to refresh as a weaker Moonfire. And here's, I think, something you can kind of do sometimes. You just hard cast. Especially when a target spree is coming up, it's not going to waste too much. You lose some autos which hit quite hard now, but I think sometimes you just need to, because the lack of resources makes it quite difficult to play perfectly without hard casting. If you hard cast maybe once a fight, it's probably fine to deal with the bad RNG streaks. So yeah, I was delaying for the Pandemic here so I could refresh my clear casting Thrash. And here I use my shreds instantly, because I don't want to overlap on clear casting. I use a Ferocious Bite here, which is probably a bit risky. I think if you're an intermediate player you don't need to Ferocious Bite at all outside of execute. It won't make too much difference. So here the correct play is to wait for Tiger's Fury to refresh the Moonfire, which is what I did. So I should have cast Thrash there. I think another thing is making sure when you know Savage Roar is going to be your next finisher, using your clear castings, using your Blood Talons properly to refresh Rake. So you can actually cast, if you know your next finisher is going to be Savage Roar, you can cast Regrowth at like 0 combo points and just refresh Rake. But you got to make sure you don't make the mistake of, completely screwing that. Do I do this? Let me have a look at what I could have done. Yeah, that goes there. Savage Roar's not my next finisher here. I think it was way back. Yeah, so here. See, that's a mistake. Here. So see this coming up, bang. So here I should have used Blood Talons for the Rake. See, I shouldn't have shredded there. That should have been a BT, pause, Rake, Savage Roar. I still get it, but yeah. Is my Shadow Meld up? Is that why I didn't do it? I'm actually checking now. No, my meld was up, so I'm trying to pay some attention to making sure I get TF everything on the meld rate. Back here again, clear casting goes there, Moonfire. Should have used Thrash there. Takes a bit of getting used to it. I thrashed too early there, I think. I think my Berserk here is okay. I didn't fill all my globals. So might have missed half shred there. So here's another waiting for the Moonfire tick. If you didn't watch my other video, I talk about using Blood Talons at 3 comp points. Oh, this is the safety rip, I believe. Yeah. So it says Moonfire doesn't use a Blood Talons charge, so if you know that you have to cast it. So there's a couple of things here. Let me go back. So here I'm actually opting, this is a clever play. So here I'm opting for, I want to get BT, if you're on 3-ish combo points, this is something you can do sometimes. So 3 combo points here. If it is BT here, if my Rake doesn't crit, I can fill with Moonfire, because Moonfire is the cheese ability that doesn't use BT, and then I'll be ready for the rip. So I do that sometimes. Other times, if you get 3, so here I think I cut a couple of seconds off Moonfire Pandemic. We'll see happen. So that would have been 2 seconds I lost from Moonfire, but now that lines up. So I think it's a bit of a fix you can do sometimes. I think here I should Savage Roar. I think I do, yeah. That goes there. This is Thrash. And then just wait as late as possible before casting the Moonfire. I use the Shred there. So here's a 3 combo play. 3 combo point play. Because I don't want to have GCD clashes. So I can go Moonfire because it's about to fall off, then Rake because it's about to fall off, and then Rip. I might cast a Rake Rip Moonfire here. I'm not sure what I actually do. Yeah, so this is correct. So those are all sub 1 second refreshes. Yeah, look at that. That's what you want to be doing if you want to min-max your ticks. I think as well with this Shadow Meld Rake shenanigans, technically you want to have a Rake that already has some ticks on it rolling, and then you apply the double damage Rake on top of it, because then you'll get the 15.6 second timer on top, which has the double damage instead of just 12 seconds. But I think I played okay here. Oh, and this is the end of the video. So I'm just like yellow. Alright, next video. This is 2 target. So this, I think, so this is the build I call the, oh, I'm single targeting, but there's a second target for a quarter of the fight or whatever. So what do I do? Question mark. So you should probably just play your single target build. So nothing changes here. I'm still running LI, Jagged Wounds, Savage Roar, BT. And I think there's a lot of encounters where they add a target, and you can really see the high skill players, the difference between the cream of the crop and just average players. I haven't spent that much time on this particular scenario, but I think it's something you should practice if you're into Feral, and especially if you have low resources. It's a lot harder to just getting high uptime is a bit of a challenge. So one way of thinking about it is do a single target rotation, but instead of using Shred, use Moonfire or Rake on the second target. So you know, single target, you can maintain a BT Rake, a BT Rip, and Moonfire, plus Savage Roar. So you can maintain all that. So Moonfire and Rake are cheaper. They are cheaper than Shred. So you should be able to swap some Shreds for Moonfire and Rake. Although they don't use clear casting, so then it's not a direct 1-to-1 ratio. And there's also queuing problems in that sometimes you're forced to use Blood Talons on Thrash or Shred instead of or Thrash or Swipe instead of Rake, which is a bit sad. I'm not too sure whether you should be swiping on 2 targets or not. I do. Probably isn't. I think it costs the same now, actually, now that they patched it. But it's pretty easy to check which one you should be casting on when you hit 120. So here I open with, so Rake does more than Thrash, so I do Rake. If I get clear casting, I cast Thrash, Moonfire to 5 combo points, then Savage Roar. So it's very similar to my single target opener. So here I use the clear casting, so I don't bank up too long. So here's the 5 combo points. So all my dots are up apart from my finisher rips. There's a Savage Roar, then Tiger 3 is going to go up. It's going to line up with the end of Berserk. And I use Swipe here because, yeah, more regen. And then you see I do a similar thing. I go Rip, Meld Rake. And and then Moonfire, Thrash, Moonfire. And I actually don't refresh this particular rake up here, so I don't go for the full uptime because I know I'm going to have a BT rip break, or BT rake rip later on, when Berserk's actually finished. So I actually cast that BT outside, hopefully. If I cast it out. So that's my last global inside Berserk. So now I cast that, so I don't waste the regeneration ring. And the rip goes up here, then rake, and then I use swipe. So here on 2 targets, it's pretty important you don't waste clear castings, because you need your clear castings as your filler in between your dots to get your rip up. So you're expecting basically like one and a half rips up at all times. Oh, maybe 1 1/3 rips. It's pretty tight on this particular allocation stat. So it's a swipe instantly. So notice here I don't cast my predatory swiftness early because this is the opener. I'm like, oh well, if a clear casting comes, it's gonna eat my BT, which I actually want to use on rip rake or rake rip, or vice versa. So here I'm at the 3 combo point mark. I can cast predatory swiftness because we talked about in the single target section that if you're on 3 combo points and you know you have a Moonfire refresh, you can go rake, Moonfire, rip. Well, actually on 2 combo points, if you have double Moonfire refresh, you can actually cast predatory swiftness. But you probably shouldn't, because if you get a clear casting proc, you can't use it instantly because it'll eat one of your BT charges and it'll make you sad, and then you might drop a clear casting proc. But theoretically, you can cast BT at 2. You can cast it at, however many Moonfire targets. 4 combo points minus however many Moonfire targets you have. Although you probably wouldn't be playing Moonfire on 3 targets because you just wouldn't have the resource generation to keep Moonfire up on 3 targets. So anyway, here we go. So that crits. If that didn't crit, I would have cast Moonfire shortly afterwards, followed by rip. So here you can tell I'm going for uptime. Okay, here I did a mistake because I know my next finisher is Savage Roar. So here I should have cast Predatory Swiftness and then that rake, followed by this Moonfire, followed by this other rake, and then followed by Savage Roar. So which I should have done. Yeah. So this rake shouldn't say 1 for 4. It should just say 115. So this is nice, bang bang. Yeah, I got both in. I think there was a bit of clipping, bit of dot up time loss. Yeah, 0.1 seconds. And then use Thrash immediately in the clear casting. I think my UI was screwed up here because I click and dragged, but this is obviously the snapshot timer for the top Moonfire, which is the focus. So here what I'm trying to do is, so here I could use Moonfire, Rip, Rake, but what I opt to do to avoid that clear casting problem I talked about earlier is go Rake, Rip. Because then if you get a clear casting, you can use it immediately in swipe or thrash. In this case, swipe because high thrash timer. And here I'm like, I gotta use it semi-quick. And then I use my Savage Roar. I think that's fine. Here I'm going for uptime on 2 targets rather than, I think optimally this has some time left on it, so you could add the 19.2 seconds on top of this and then you'll have a bigger snapshot. But I prefer to actually dot up targets that aren't currently dotted, especially in a resource restrained environment like this. see, you can see there's quite a bit of pooling going on. So yeah, I want to make sure I don't drop the predatory swiftness. And then here again, I believe this top break followed by rip, then Moonfire is the right choice. Just so that if I get a clear casting, I can use it on Thrash. Even though that means dropping a bit of uptime. So let me go back a couple of seconds. Go back a couple more seconds. So here you notice the Moonfire is actually going to fall off first. So if I went Moonfire, rip, rake, then I wouldn't lose uptime because I'm refreshing them in order. But I'm worried about the clear casting. I really don't want to waste the clear castings. And then it just came up there. So here, I believe Savage Roar is my next finisher, so that's why I used it early. I assume that's the trigger. So yeah, here. So I could refresh this rake, no buff, and save this, but really this is just going to end up on a swipe or something if I don't use it here. So rake, this finisher, then I have a fresh 2 for my rip. But I actually I cast a rip here. That's a bit ballsy. Yeah, I think this is a bit tight to refresh Savage Roar. See if I make it on later on. I do not know. I assume I do. What was this move? Moonfire. So I think I even clipped. So if I refresh the other way, it would have been correct. Anyway, so you can see I'm maintaining overall. There's always one rip up, usually 2 Moonfires and 1 rake. It's typically a second rake up, and then rarely there's 2 rips up at the same time. Just depending on what procs I get. So here I was kind of I don't have any rips because I don't have any resource gen, and then the clear casting comes up and I can't use it, which is annoying. Could I have played this a bit better? Yeah, so if I didn't cast this BT until slightly later, then I could have immediately thrashed. Then I could have cast my predatory swiftness. And then I could have cast my rake. Moonfire, rip. So you can see there's a problem with clear casting here. That I'm basically locking myself, and then I clipped that too early, and then my Moonfire's on point. And then there's a rip, and then finally I get my clear casting here. And then that goes there. I'll upload these videos separately as well, in case anyone's interested in watching them separately. I'm waiting patiently for this. I think move ordering is pretty important. So here I know I have to cast the rake because I got the BT. And then I try and wait for Pandemic. Bang, now I can cast my Thrash. Gonna refresh that Moonfire. Then I can bow bang, 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 or bang, bang, bang. And this is my meld rake, hopefully. Okay, obviously I'm not paying attention because I'm a loser. think it was just my Berserk when I mash all my buttons. Oh, I should have refreshed that Moonfire at the end. I think I'm doing about 50% more damage on 2-target than I would be on single target, approximately. Lead BFA's got a lot of your multi-dotting. So here that sound I wasted the CC. Which, how long did I hold it for? 320. 2 seconds. Yeah, so that's actually not too bad. I don't mind if I don't hold it. I have a 7-second time here to make sure I use it. Anyway. And I waste another one. That's only a couple of seconds as well, so I don't mind that too much. And then that's it. I think that's the end of the video. It's not really much else to say. I guess I've talked about that quite a bit. So what I'll do is I'll probably upload this video, plus I'll upload the other 2 videos raw, so you can watch them at real time if you so please. That's it for now. I hope you found this video helpful. Just running through my thought process and ordering of abilities. Maybe you picked up a couple of tips. Maybe you've seen some neat tricks that'll help you in your own play if you're trying to maximize everything. That's it for now. You can subscribe and etc. etc.